and gentlemen, and welcome along to the Speedway Show on BikerFM.co.uk. Slightly different format to our regular show tonight, as the Speedway world has experienced a loss this week with the passing away of Lee Richardson. So our sincere condolences going out to Lee's family and friends. We've got a packed show tonight with lots of star guests coming on the show, including John Cook, Lewis Bridger, Alan Rossiter, Simon Stead and Martin Dugard. Tonight's show is going to be podcasted, so if you want to get hold of the show afterwards, you can get it via www.speedway.bikerfm.co.uk, and that should be available after the weekend, possibly Monday or Tuesday. So, the loss to the sporting world of Lee Richardson. Lee was born on the 25th of April 1979 in Hastings, Sussex. His British career saw him riding for a variety of clubs across the leagues in 1995 for Reading, 96 for Reading and Poole, 97 for Reading, Peterborough and Kings Lynn, 98 Reading, 99 Poole. Between 2000 and 2003 he raced for Coventry, 2004 at Peterborough, 2005 to 2007 he was with Swindon, in 2008 at Eastbourne, and 2009 to date with the Lakeside Hammers. Lee's major honours included becoming the World Under-21 Champion in 1999 and the Elite League Riders Champion in 2003. His club honours were the League Championship winners in 1997 with Reading and the Knockout Cup winners in 1998 with Reading, 2008 with Eastbourne, 2009 with Lakeside, and a Craven Shield winner in 2000 and Pairs Championship winner in 2005 with Swindon. Lee had lots of success in the Grand Prix as well during his career, and his main highlight of that was winning the Grand Final champion in 2002. So, a sad week for the world of Speedway. And Paul, my co-host, is with us tonight on the show. It's not been the best of weeks, mate, has it?
It's not. It's a as they said on Sky Sports, it's a time that Speedway's going to take quite a time to get over. It's a big shock. Lee was such a loved rider, not just for his skill, but just being a genuine nice guy and obviously a family guy as well. And, it's going to take a while to get over this for everyone involved. And the Speedway family is so tight-knit, so small. It's really affected everyone.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll be hearing from all the various riders and management and promoters during the evening that we've just mentioned. If you would like to come on air and tell us about some of your memories and dedications in relation to Lee Richardson, you can call us on 01172 306 687. That's 01172 306 687. You can send us in your memories to Speedway at bikerfm.co.uk, or if you're listening to us online using the website, then obviously there's a shout box on there, so you can send your messages through on there.
Yeah, we can also obviously receive tweets on Twitter as well, so it's at Speedway BikerFM, so you can tweet in your tribute to Lee as well. We will be putting all of the tributes in full on our website as well, on the blog, which is speedway.bikerfm.co.uk, so every tribute that we've received, which is a lot actually, from various sources all over the world, we will be putting them all in full on that.
And since obviously we received the devastating news, there's been a bit of a Twitter campaign to get this trending across the world. So if you're making tweets on Twitter, hashtag RICO, in capital letters RICO, and we're trying to get as much, not publicity, but as much acknowledgement to a legend that's sadly been lost from the sport. We've had various dedications that have come in from riders and management and fans alike. So we're going to start the show off before we bring our first guest on by just taking you through a few of those. A lot of people were 20 rides per meeting instead of 5 this time round. Given that you're still the nation's highest all-time point scorer in the Speedway World Cup of 240 points, I'm sure no one would have objected to you taking all 20, and your consistency for the Lions was absolutely fantastic. In my view, you didn't get the credit you deserve for how you represented Great Britain on the international stage. Being one of the top Brits is a pretty thankless task, as I'm sure Scott Nicholls, Chris Harris and Ty Woffenden will agree. No matter what you do, it never seems good enough. but you gave us some real highlights down the years. Not least your World Under-21 Championship victory in 1999. I was speaking to your surrogate father and mentor John Davis on Monday, and he was telling me just how proud you both were to defy those who said you'd never be good enough with that victory in Buoyance. Given that I didn't witness the early stages of your Speedway career, I can only wonder what on earth those who knocked you were thinking. You certainly made a believer out of them by winning the GP Challenge at the Polish track Pila in August 2002 to become a full Grand Prix star for 2003. I'll never forget the first Grand Prix I ever attended, and it was at Cardiff in 2004, the night you collected the bronze medal in front of a raucous Millennium Stadium crowd. But for a faultless ride from Thomas Gollard, you would have won the Polish Grand Prix at Big Gosh in 2005. I can still see you herring after Mr G now, every British fan willing you to get past him, but a silver medal is no mean feat against that man in his own backyard. It wasn't just on the world stage where you starred, it was for your clubs in Britain, Sweden and Poland. And while many Brits have struggled outside of the UK, your professionalism and skill meant you always flew the Union flag in Europe's tough leagues. I'm absolutely gutted you weren't able to finish this season with Lakeside, as I'm convinced you could have led them to their first ever Elite League title. I'm sure the Hammers will be hurting now, but winning the playoff final in your honour would be a fitting tribute to your massive contribution at the Arena Essex Raceway since you first signed in 2009. I've said enough about Speedway though, as John rightly told me your greatest achievement was being such a top-class human being. The outpouring of grief that has followed Sunday's news from Wrocław is hardly a surprise, and it's clear that riders love spending time with you on and off the track. Your colleagues and rivals are all going to miss you tremendously, but no one will feel your passing more than your wife Emma and your sons Josh, Jake and Jensen. Rest assured that the Speedway family, one of the closest knit sporting communities around, will be there to comfort them, grieve with them and help them get their lives back on track. I hope the fact you left for the big circuit in the sky while doing something you love is of some comfort to everyone who knew you. It just remains for me to say thank you for entertaining us all for 18 years. It's been an honour to know you, and you'll never be forgotten.
Geezer collapses in front of you. What do you do? We need a volunteer that ain't breathing. Here's one I made earlier. First off, you call 999. I know. Then, no kissing. You only kiss your missus on the lips. You push hard and fast here on the Sovereign, as it looks.
Had an accident? Need some help? Forget the stress. Call RSS. Rider Support Services. The Bikers Law Firm. Already got solicitors? Feels like your crash is their cash? Don't delay. Call RSS today on 0208 246 4900. You won't find yourself in better hands.
Find out how you can win a trip on Route 66 for a £5 on the Red and Steve Show, Mondays 6 till 8, where they cater for the hairy biker, rallies, rides and everything in between. Sponsored by rideroute66.co.uk.
If your car crashes at 30 miles per hour, your seatbelt will stop you hurtling forwards at 30 miles per hour. But if you'd rather not use a seatbelt, you could always use the windscreen. Or you may prefer the dashboard. Another passenger is always an option. Or if you're thrown clear of the car, you've still got the old failsafe, the road. Think, front or back, always wear a seatbelt.
Advertising with BikerFM is cheaper than you think. Showcase your company or events to a target audience now.
Live now by John Cook, the co-promoter of the Lakeside Hammers and Vice Chairman of Speedway Great Britain. John, it's great to welcome you to the show. Sadly, it's an unfortunate circumstances. Just been reading on the Lakeside website that, you know, already very positive things are happening from the Speedway world regarding sort of bringing together the Speedway world and setting up the Richardson family following his sad loss.
Yeah, Paul, I mean, obviously, you know, I was only talking to you a couple of weeks ago, and it's unimaginable the circumstances, you know, under which we're talking to you again tonight, and it's fair to say that everyone in Speedway knows that knew Lee, or even just had passed a word with him, are hugely affected by this, and we can't do anything to help really bring Lee back. We can't really help the family grieve, but we kind of feel we want to try and do something positive, and obviously, there's been a few offers of help and support, and we just feel that maybe we can provide this sort of central hub for people to go out and do a bit of fundraising, and just maybe feel that they could just contribute to just make Lee's wife and his 3 young kids just feel that if we can just help them, make them feel a little bit more secure, then I think we can all now feel that we've played a part in doing something positive out of such a terrible situation.
So there's, on Twitter and Facebook and every sort of avenue possible, there's so much sort of warm feeling towards Lee, and so much support for his family, and the from the sport. It's been tremendous, and it shows how tight knit sport it is. But I think the support that that you're looking for is going to be pretty widespread, to be honest. There's so many people who are doing different things out there. We've got a girl out there that's creating t-shirts. We've got Lewis Bridge who's coming on the show later with wristbands. There's so much out there for Lee, such a lot of love for him, as a rider and as a person, that I think you're going to be inundated. You must have had already a lot of support.
Yeah, well, we there's a right time and a place, and we really. We spoke to Lee's brother this morning, and we felt now was the time to start trying to push on, because we were getting inundated, and I appreciate Lewis, his efforts, and Chris Lewis' daughter's efforts, and many other people that want to do something, and I think the way to collate that is just to set up a central account in Emma's name, which we're doing over the next day or so. So all the money is Emma's from the moment that it's raised. The moment that cheque is written out, and that can be used to just get this family. What a family that's grieving needs is they need nothing else to worry about except for just to take the time, to try and live as normal a life as you ever can when you've lost, someone so important to you, and a little bit more financial security will really help with that, and it also allows us all, to try and do something positive. And I know the riders, the riders that want to do something and get on a bike and ride for Lee, and we need to make the opportunity. We need to find dates. We need to do that meeting justice. Whether it's at Lakeside or if we have to stage it somewhere else because dates are better somewhere else, or we can get a bigger crowd somewhere else. That's something that we sit down with the family as time goes on, as the healing process, which will never totally run its course. But, when we're in a situation to sit down with Emma and Craig and Julie and talk things through, then we will put a meeting together which will do Lee justice and will be a fitting occasion for people to turn up and really appreciate, someone that if you didn't know him, if you're listening and you really didn't know him, or you were one of the people that didn't really much appreciate him, because it's fair to say he wasn't always the favourite visitor to tracks. He really was the most lovely man and such a wonderful family man, and I can't see past that. And we're all in bits at Lakeside, and as Roscoe and everyone is at Swindon and everyone that was that close to him, it's just such a tragedy. And Speedway World is a wonderful world when the chips are down, and there's people are showing that already, and it's very heartwarming. And I've been speaking to Lee's mother today, and they take great comfort and great appreciation from everything, and all the words, all the condolences, everything on the social networking sites. Just anyone that puts anything out there or raises £1 or £100 or £1,000, the family are looking, and they really are so appreciative of everyone out there.
That's fantastic, and obviously we saw last night on Sky TV, the riders, they were all riding for Lee, really, and the same, can be said of the guys that are riding at Wolverhampton, and I think it's hit all the riders, every rider, as yourself knows, that all the riders, although they ride against each other, everyone's friends in this sport, and they might have a fracas on the track, but off the track they're all friends, and it's really affected them, hasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is, Lee's such a safe rider. It really, that's where it really hits home. The only time Lee would ever be chucking a bike around was when he raced Lewis or Eddie for the Sussex Championship, as they used to take the mickey out of him. Every time Lou or Ed were on track, they'd throw the bikes at one another. But the rest of the time, Lee was just a consummate professional, really, safe, stylish, wonderfully stylish speedway rider. And I think that's the shock that this could happen to Lee is that's what makes it so enormous. And from our club perspective, we respect and like all of our riders, and we feel like we're a family anyway. But with most of our riders, we don't meet the girlfriends, we don't meet the wife, we don't meet the children. Lee was different. Lakeside had become his home because it was a place where the whole family would come for a Friday night out, and the kids would go and play up and down the banks and roll around and get muddy and get shouted at and all that kind of thing, and that's where it really does hit home, So you have to excuse us for a little while. It will take us just a little bit of time to find our feet, and I think that's quite right and proper. Things won't feel right for a little while, and they shouldn't either.
Yeah, that's it. And I spoke to Martin Dugard yesterday, and he's coming on the show later, and he said Lee was a rider that liked to ride for a team where he was happy, and it took him a little while to find a club that he was happy with, but Martin said that Lakeside was a club that he was very happy with. He was content there, and he really enjoyed riding for Lakeside. So it's a tribute to you guys at Lakeside and what you have created there, that Lee was happy riding for your club and really wanted to succeed for the club as well.
Yeah, well, it's Lee was a very happy character and knew what he wanted for himself in his career, and he gave great service to all the clubs he rode for, and he was exceptionally happy at Swindon, and it took a long time for him to get the Swindon bug, out of his head and become a hammer, and it was a big wrench for him to leave Swindon as well. So I'm respectful to all the clubs he rode for, really, but he had just found his home because Lakeside was the right place at the right time in his career. It was close by. It was the sort of track that suited him at this moment in his career, and we were working and talking about a whole host of other things. Lee and myself were down at Sittingbourne this time last year looking at the Premier, possibility for the Premier League. If it wasn't for they've got problems with start times, but Lee came down with me and met the stadium owner, and we measured out a track and marked out a track, and we did have brief discussions, about the possibility Lee might have been involved in that with us as a sort of long-term thing for where he would go when he started to stop riding and that. So, Lee was always ahead of the game. He always had one eye on what he was going to do next, but he certainly was looking at riding for the next fair few seasons, and he was seeing his career out with us, and we were very, very happy about that, and we could never imagine that it would end in these circumstances.
That's it, and obviously, like you said, there's lots of planning going on in terms of, or there will be lots of planning going on in terms of a tribute meeting for Lee. Certainly going to be no lack of riders wanting to ride in that. I've seen that Lakeside will be at Poole tomorrow evening. It's going to be tough for the riders to do this meeting, but obviously Matt Ford has said as well on his website that he will make it a special meeting for Lee. Obviously, it's going to be very tough for yourself and the riders. Yeah,
it's very difficult. We refused to ride on Sunday night, and thankfully the meeting was cancelled before we had to go through with that threat, for the Monday meeting, because obviously that was too soon. But the problem that we have is, we all live in different places. What is down in Poole. Rob's in Hertfordshire. Robbo's up in Coventry. Kaki's either in Leicester or Finland. We're all over the place. PK's in Sweden, and we can't sit and grieve on our own forever, because actually it's better for us all to be together, and we need to be together reasonably quickly, because we've still got to get on with things, and we've still got to go ahead for Lee now. Everything's for Lee. For now, it will be for Lee, and I don't know. We might be a shambles tomorrow. We might pull it together, but we will be together to make that decision, and that's put a room aside for us so we can meet earlier, and we just have a little bit of a heart-to-heart, and hopefully we'll hold ourselves together, which probably will be more me than anyone else, the way things are at the moment. But as long as Roscoe's not around to tip me off, we'll be all right, and we'll get through it. And we need to be together, and in the same manner, next week, place we've got the FIM British GB team in their qualifiers. So if we hadn't run this Friday, we'd literally have no meeting for 2 weeks, and it's just too long a gap for us and our fans to be together, because our fans can't really make head nor tail of this. The accident hasn't happened racing for us. It hasn't happened in Britain, which, it was always unlikely to happen in Britain. The tracks here, the safety record is the best in the world, and, particularly in the Elite League with the air fences and our own track, we've been...
I think we've actually lost John there, so thanks very much to John for calling in to the show there. We're going to go to just a few more dedications, and we'll be back in a few moments with Lewis Bridger. This one comes from a guy called Steve Hilliard. He says, the world of Speedway is in mourning. I genuinely feel sick when I heard the news, totally shocked by it. British Speedway will never quite be the same. The current riders will miss a friend, a colleague, a competitor, and a fellow rider. The next generation of British riders will miss somebody to look up to and question his knowledge of the sport. Listen to Rico's interviews and articles. It was clear he could have had a future career in Speedway media or in Speedway. Fans will miss a great rider who was always willing to chat, sign autographs, and have his photos taken with the kids. The tragic and sad news put into perspective the dangers of Speedway and the bravery of every rider who ever takes the track. Like everyone, my prayers and thoughts are with his family and friends at what must be an incredibly painful time. Promoted to glory, far too early, riding with the angels. Rest in peace, Rico. So, yeah, we should be live on air any second now with Lewis Bridger. We just... You can hear that from very loud.
All right.
Hello, is that Lewis?
Yep, speaking.
Hello, Lewis. It's great to have you on the Speedway Show. Obviously, it's in very tough circumstances for everyone involved in the sport, not least yourself. Obviously, a very good friend of Lee's.
Yeah, we're both Hastings-born youngsters, and calling him youngster, he was 33, but he was a great guy to the sport. He gave absolutely everything into it, and he flew the Great Britain flag many times, and he was England's number one,
And that's the thing, the stats prove that he's the number one point scorer for Team Great Britain, and that's some feat, isn't it, with the standard riders we've got.
There's no doubt about it. In Poland and Sweden, week in, week out, he was England's top point scorer, and it just showed in some of the clips last night, to his tribute, what a great rider he was when he was on form, and he beat top riders like White Vents. And
like you said, the actual racing coverage last night was amazing, wasn't it? And seeing that, you saw how good a rider he was. And like I said, he pulled clear of some fantastic riders, but he was always such a safe rider. He must have been, from your perspective, a younger rider coming through, he must have been an inspiration.
I mean, you just don't expect it. I mean, there's certain riders out there, obviously you wouldn't wish it on anyone, but, you could kind of cope with the fact that it could have happened to a young wild rider. But Lee at the age of 33 especially, I mean, even when he was younger, he wasn't a wild rider. He's always been very smooth, similar styles to kind of Lee Adams, very like armchair-like on the bike. And, very, very rarely did he put himself at any kind of risk on the bike or on the track. He was such a great starter. And, it's just, horrific news, and it wasn't expected whatsoever.
That's it, and it's obviously shocked the whole of the Speedway family, from the riders to the fans. From your perspective, obviously we've seen that, you're pushing forwards with ways to raise funds for Lee. I'm not sure if you heard the interview with John earlier as well, that they're setting up a sort of fund for Lee's family as well. So, can you tell us about what you're looking to do?
Yeah, obviously I've already named on Twitter and stuff. I'm looking to, I'm 100% going to be setting up some charity bands, which is going to be a small donation up to anything massive from whoever would like to purchase one. I'm pretty sure everyone will want one, and there's not going to be a price on the band. We're not selling them; it's a donation, and we'll speak to his wife later on and see exactly what she wants to do with the money, if she wants it to go towards her and the kids and the family, or if she wants it to go into the Ben Fund, or just something memorial for Lee. But Sky Sports done a great job last night. 100% credit to them. They really did make it for Lee last night, and it was great to watch.
That's it. Nigel Pearson and Sam Amalinko and obviously Chris Louis did a really good job in very tough circumstances, and a credit also to the riders that rode in that event, because you could tell it was really tough for them. So respect to those guys as well.
No, I'll tell you now, I needed 24 hours to get over it at least. Obviously it's not nothing you're going to get over, but we all really did deserve 24 hours just to get over the first shock of it all and come round to it again. But then again, the meeting went on, and if it hadn't gone on last night, then when do you get on with it all again, and when do you carry on? And at least Sky Sports done a great job with his tribute last night and stuff, and they showed the whole everyone watching the programme what a great rider he was.
Yeah, that's it, definitely. And John has said about a tribute meeting, obviously you'll be one of the first guys to sign up, I suppose.
Of course, mate. There's no doubt I won't be there. I'm going on this season. I'm going to ride stronger and more ambitious than ever for Lee. I want to fly in his colours. I'm going to get his badge, his butt patch stitched onto my Kevlar ASAP before Saturday's meet, and then I'm going to run that for the rest of my career, and that's for sure.
Super, that's a really nice touch. And I see that the Team Great Britain team as well are going to be wearing a colour scheme associated with Lee as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I'll be giving it my absolute all to get back in the World Cup team this year. There's no way on earth I can possibly be without one of his race replica suits, for the World Cups this year. So I best pull my finger out and make him proud.
Super, and I think that's the thing. I think everyone's going to pull together here. Definitely, it's just Speedway is such a small sport, a small family. But when things like this happen, everyone pulls together, and it's this is very, very tragic circumstances.
Sure.
How do you feel? Like I said, moving forward, how do you feel the best way to approach that is?
I mean, there's two ways to approach it. There's give up now and never get back on the speedway bike, or accept that Lee died doing something he loved. He paid the ultimate price for doing something he loved, and I'm gonna use it as ambition. I'm gonna go forward knowing that Lee wanted me to get into the Grand Prix and be a very successful young British rider, and I'm gonna do it for him, and I'm gonna take it with the right approach. I mean, I think a lot of people's heads are going to be a little bit all over the place at first and stuff, and I'm sure mine will be as well. But I'm going to stay strong for him. He wouldn't want us to, be sitting here with our heads between our knees. He'd want us to get back out. He'd want us to get on the race track and, give it our all. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Superb. And obviously, you've had a very good career and a different career, and many people have sort of said that you've sort of lacked something there, to get you together. This could be just the thing, the inspiration for Lee to do this for Lee. This could really take you to the next level, because we know you've got the talent. Obviously, speaking to you earlier, you know that Lee knows you've got the talent as well. So this could really do it for you.
I mean, I just feel absolutely devastated. I can't thank Lee anymore for the help he's already gave me so far. I never really got to thank him properly, and the chats we had on our flights and stuff when we were racing together in Chesterhover, and one memory I'll never forget was actually in Wroclaw with Nicky Pedersen and Lee Richardson when we all raced in Wroclaw and went back to the casino and had dinner together and had a really good time and laughed in Wroclaw. And I'll just really miss Lee Smiley. He was a great character, and he'll be hugely missed in the sport.
You will, and it's been absolutely fantastic to speak to you, Lewis, and we wish you the best for this season. We wish you the best riding for Lee. Obviously, in terms of the wristbands, how will people find out about them? Can they follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, I will be updating everything on Twitter. I want to purchase them as soon as possible. I'm looking to probably be buying them from America, probably the best place, unless someone else has a better suggestion. But maybe a few ideas over Twitter on exactly what colour scheme we're going to go. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe black and white or black and silver, like the Hagen scheme. At first I was thinking red, but obviously the LAR Lee Adams Racing charity bands are in red, so we don't really want to get that confused and mixed up. So I will keep everyone updated on Twitter, so just look out on my tweets at LewisLBR, and we'll get it all sorted very shortly.
Superb. It's been brilliant to have you on the show, Lewis. Any last words that you'd like to say?
Just obviously, stay strong to always close friends and family, and Lee would have wanted you to be strong, so let's all stay together as a family, Speedway family, and let's all get through this and make Lee proud.
Superb. It's been brilliant to have you on the show, Lewis. Thank you very much, and good luck for the rest of your season.
Thank you very much.
So that was Lewis. We've got later on coming in the show, we've got Alan Rossiter, we've got Simon Stead, and we've got Martin Dugard. Keep sending your tribute messages in on the shout box and into our email. We will be putting all of them on our blog, which is speedway.bikerfm.co.uk, and we will be reading some out as soon as we can.
Have you been banned for drink driving? Are you getting your license back soon? Are you looking for motor insurance? Then look no further than Dodgy and Corrupt Unregulated. Call us now.
Dodgy and Corrupt, Vicky speaking, how can I help?
Drinking and driving? You won't find a more expensive policy guaranteed.
Dodgy and Corrupt, think of us when you drive and drink.
If you've been convicted of drinking and driving, your insurance could triple. Think. Don't drink and drive.
Advertising with Biker FM is cheaper than you think. Showcase your company or events to a target audience now.
Had an accident? Need some help? Forget the stress. Call RSS. Rider Support Services. The Bikers Law Firm. Already got solicitors? Feels like your crash is their cash? Don't delay. Call RSS today on 0208 246 4900. You won't find yourself in better hands.
Biker FM are proud to advertise your events, whether it be a rally, rock night, bike show, charity event, or even a ride out on a Sunday morning. Click on the events button for more information.
Chance before we bring Roscoe on just to get a few more of your dedications out. This one's coming from B. Carpenter. Ollie and I always enjoyed a good bit of healthy banter with Lee at Acebourne, with last year being especially funny. Never forget that. Rest in peace, Lee. You'll be sorely missed. Much love to Emma, the boys, and the family. From Brush. And the next one from Nuneaton Supporters Club, Speedway Supporters Club. would like to send their condolences to the family and friends of Lee Richardson. A great rider, a lovely guy who always had time for the fans. Such a sad loss to British Speedway, and best wishes from Ruth. Next one's from Gail Newton. Lee Richardson, one of Speedway's handlebar heroes. I've been following Lee for 8 years. I've been and still am a massive fan. So sad to hear of his tragic accident. A Speedway legend and a great guy. He'll be hugely missed by all. My love goes out to the rest of the Speedway boys and his family and friends. Gone but never forgotten. Condolences to Lee, family and friends, from Kevin and Gail of the Eastbourne Eagles. So yeah, keep those coming in. If you have got any dedications or memories that you'd like to send over us tonight, you can do that via our Speedway shoutbox on the website. Or you can send them in to speedway@bikerfm.co.uk. So you're going to be live in a few minutes with Roscoe. Just a chance to do one more dedication before we go to Roscoe. This one's from Danny King, the skipper of the Birmingham. Okay, and just one more as we just queuing up Roscoe. This is from Peter Oakes. So underestimated as a rider. His worth will only be realised in the future. A World Under 21 champion, Britain's top Speedway World Cup point scorer, and Elite League Riders champion. As a journalist, I'd known Lee since he first came into the Reading team in 1995, and he never changed. He was always approachable, always honest, and always helpful. And that was from Peter Oakes. Okay, so Paul, I think you've got Roscoe ready for us. Perhaps not just a second. Okay, we'll go for one more testimonial before we bring Roscoe in there. This one's from Scott Nichols. I've known Lee for a number of years, going back to our rival Under 21 days, where he went on to become a very proud Under 21 world champion. Just one of his many on-track successes. He also became a husband to his beautiful wife Emma, and had 3 boys that he was amazingly proud of, as is any father. It's this that makes this very, very sad loss even harder to accept. Lee was always very professional about his speedway and was a fantastic role model for any young rider to look up to. Smooth and stylish on the bike with an excellent gating ability, one that I wish I had. He proudly represented his country with a great deal of success. Lee was fortunate to be doing something he loved, something he would have dreamed of as a kid, and he did it with great success, making his parents and family very proud of him. So cruelly his time was cut short, and all we are left with is the fond memories of him. These, though, cannot be taken, and I know his family and friends, along with the whole of the Speedway community, will have many good memories that they will cherish forever. It's a very hard time, and a matter that's very difficult to totally accept. My deepest thoughts and sympathies are with all these family and loved ones. If there's such a thing as an afterlife, then I wish you a peaceful and happy one. Rest in peace.
So hello, are we joined by Roscoe? Are you there, Roscoe? No, he's not there, so we'll keep trying to get him. I've got a tribute here from Jason Bunyan, so I'll just read that. Jason Bunyan said, I raced on the Speedway scene from a young age with Lee and often competed with or against him. One day he seemed to turn the corner and was a top-flight rider, always professional and immaculate. He always had time for a quick chat, even after all those years. But now my only thoughts go out to his partner and children, the ones who matter most. Jason. So I think we've got Roscoe coming in now.
Hello?
Hello, is Alan there?
Yeah, just a minute.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, Alan, it's Paulie. You're live on BikerFM.
Hello, mate, alright?
Yes, it's obviously tough to speak to you under these circumstances, Alan, and I know Lee was a big friend of yours and obviously rode under your management for 3 seasons. It must be very hard for you at the moment.
Yeah, it hasn't been very nice, and it's been quite hard, really, and I'm probably a man enough to admit I've had quite a few tears as well.
Superb, and I see, I've been reading different tweets that there's a floral tribute to Lee at the Blunsdon Stadium.
Yes, I haven't been up there, but I'm led to believe that we had a phone call from the stadium and said that people were starting to leave flowers, you know, and I just thought it was a nice touch, and I have to say, I don't know if people can get hold of our local paper in Swindon, but they've done an absolutely fantastic tribute to Lee. He had a front page, inside page, back page, and another page on the inside with loads of tributes, and it was absolutely wonderful tribute from the advert today to him.
That's it. Ned Payne's like you said, has done a great job there. It shows also how much Lee meant to Swindon Speedway as well as obviously the Speedway world. But he had a successful time with you, didn't he?
That's right. It was very good there at Swindon, I mean, people just talk about the Heat 13s and 15s with the two Lees, and we go on about it. And I think our first bit of silverware came when the two Lees won the best pairs at Peterborough that night. And obviously, I left Swindon a couple of years ago to go to Coventry, and I had a photo in the office which was framed and it had the two Lees on it, and I brought it home with me. And I haven't got very many photos at home from Speedway that's hung up or in a frame or anything, but that one's there. And on Sunday night, when I had the phone call to say that he'd passed away, that I saw that photo there, and I just look at it, and it just, and all I can say, look at it and think is how cruel, life can be. You've got Lee Adams in a wheelchair, and sadly we lost Lee at such a very young age at 33.
That's it. Like you said, it's very tough for Swindon supporters seeing that these guys won the pairs for you. In terms of obviously John Cook's been on from Lakeside, it's going to be very tough for Lakeside's in the next couple of weeks, isn't it? How are Lakeside going to cope with this? It's I can imagine it's nothing that you can prepare for, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, I wouldn't even pretend to think that I could give you the answer, mate, because it's just like Emma and the kids. There's no words or anything can say that can make it better, and I certainly ain't got no answers for it, and it's just heartbreaking.
That's it, and it's Speedway is a small world, and everyone does know each other, like you said, and lots of different things are happening, and I know that you're working hard as well. Are you working with John Cook regarding the funds and things like that?
Yeah, well, John gave me a call last night, and I have to say respect to John Cook, and he was absolutely in bits last night talking on the phone to me. We just couldn't keep it together, the pair of us. I was actually taking my children out swimming. I was and I was in a hotel, and they were having swimming lessons, and John's talking to me, and John's breaking up, and started me off in the middle of the hotel as well. So I had to quickly dive outside and talk to him, which is, like I said, I enjoy what people would have thought, but it was just, I had to go outside a bit quick, because, the water started flowing again, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, it's just one of them things.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's very tough for John there at Lakeside and the boys. In terms of Swindon, obviously everyone knows Lee. It's been very hard. And did you watch the meeting on Sky last night? It must have been really tough for those guys.
Oh, I mean, you've got to give credit to Nigel Pearson and Sam Lincoln and Chris Lee, and that, because they've known Lee as well. And it's very hard, to put a face on. I don't think I could have done it. Normally I can do most things, but when it comes to things like this, I'm not the best at that. And I have to say, credit where credit's due to them guys. They did a great tribute to him on Sky, which was fully justified in it. But so it's just something you just don't expect. You just take. I think, unfortunately, we just take this all for granted. I mean, I think the last big top rider to die at that sort of kind of level, I think you're talking Tommy Jansen back in then, and that's why, when people say, can you improve the sport, safety, I think certainly in the Elite League, we've gone a long way with the air fences and stuff like that, and I think, we've gone pretty good down that line, so I don't think there's a great bit much more we can actually do, safety-wise.
I know, Roscoe, it's Chris, that a lot of people are wondering if maybe air fences on the straights would make any difference.
The only problem you got with that, Chris, is it's the footrest. You've seen it many a time. I think, if you remember the Grand Prix in Slovenia, when, was it Lucas Drimmel when his foot peg caught the air fence down the straight, and that's when they took the air fences off the straight. That's one of the problems. Maybe you could just have it across the top or something. I don't really know. It's very difficult because obviously certain accidents happen, and then you say, well, could you have done this and could you have done that? But I think generally the Elite League, and I certainly think, in my opinion, that all Premier Leagues should have an air fence, no matter what no matter what the excuse is. There should be no excuse for not having air fences in nowadays.
Yeah, I think with health and safety these days, you think it'd be something that was almost insisted on, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But like I said, it's one of them things, and like I said, I got the call Sunday night and to say that Lee had been injured, and like I said, it was just, and then minutes later, I got told, that he sadly passed away, and I just couldn't believe it.
And that's the thing, Roscoe. It's such a shock, isn't it? Because those kind of things don't regularly happen.
I know some of the boys, some private friends, and that, and I know that they're struggling to, to come to terms with some top riders, struggling to come to terms with it as well. So, it's all over, So it's a very, very sad time. But the one good thing again shows that we talk about it all the time, and that when things happen, is the Speedway fraternity, have come together, and we are one big family. Yes, we're all on each other's backs when we race against each other, but at the end of it, generally, we all pull together.
That's it, definitely. And when you look back in the last couple of seasons with obviously your ventures at places like Coventry and the bad feeling between, say, like Coventry and Poole and stuff, when things like this happen, it brings it into a totally different perspective for you, doesn't it?
Well, that show, it doesn't even come close to it. You don't even think about it, And but like I said, it's just massive. The people that have come out to support this, and we don't like doing it. Unfortunately, our sport has got national coverage all for the wrong reasons. Yet again, I'd love the coverage we've had for this, on a normal day, but it has to take something as sad as this for it to get noticed.
Definitely. I mean, if we could try and bring any positives from it, it's one hell of an inclination for Team GB this year to do it for Lee Richardson, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. I think they would certainly be, well up for it. And I mean, obviously, we're home again at Kings Lynn, and we do seem to ride very well. And we just, fingers crossed, whatever team Neil picks, I'm sure they'll go out and do Lee proud.
Well, cheers, Roscoe. We're going to go to some more dedications in a second. Any last words that you want to say whilst you're on air tonight?
No, just like I said, obviously John Cook's been on tonight, and I'm impressed actually. John actually did make it through all right, did he? Because obviously I'm not at home at the moment, so after talking to him yesterday, I was surprised that he came on. But credit John, and just like I said, we're going to do hopefully lots of things will be coming out very shortly. And then obviously we'll be getting on. I'd like to thank all the people that have tweeted me. I can't answer every single one of them. It's very, very difficult. People, all I can say is if people want to do their own fundraising, by all means do it, and then obviously send the money in. If you look on the Lakeside Hammers, lakesidehammers.co website, it will tell you where you can send the money to. But by all means, if you want to do your own thing, please do it. Just get on and do it. But obviously there'll be meetings coming up, and maybe we just briefly just touch base quickly. We talked about a cricket match. We talked about a football match. There's lots of things that could be in the fire, and I'm hoping that we can get it well supported. And we started the ball rolling tonight. We had Guy Nichols started it all off from Trucks or Us in Ipswich, and he started the fund off for £1,000. And he said when it reaches 10 grand, he'll put another £1,000 in. So a big thank you to Guy for getting the ball rolling tonight. And I know he's a big backer of Speedway through the Grand Prix. Chris Holder and Hans Anderson and Jason Crump and people like that. So, and obviously his son does motocross. Jake, I think the BikerFM guys know Jake Nichols. And so big thank you to Guy. And so the ball's rolling now, and let's see if we can get lots of money and do some fundraising. We'll say, just watch this space. And like I said, I put it out there. It's nothing to do with me. It's what John Cook asked me to do. We put it out there, and hopefully everybody will start coming in with donations or fundraising, whatever you want to do. Just please get on and do it. It'll be fantastic.
Cheers, Roscoe. Yeah, like you say, Jake's a big friend of the show and of Biker FM as well. I can tell from the emotion in your voice, mate. It took a lot for you to come on the show tonight, so I really thank you for that. And we look forward to speaking to you later on in the year under much happier circumstances.
Hello, Tom. Joined by Simon Stead from the Swimmer Robins and Team Great Britain. Welcome to the show, Simon. Obviously, you were coming on the show anyway this evening to talk about Speedway and various things, but obviously you come under different circumstances now. Obviously, a good friend of yours, a good friend of Speedway, has been lost to the sport. Must be hard times for you, Simon.
Yeah, it is. But I'm not on my own in this at all. I think the Speedway world as a whole has been affected. It's a tragic loss. True gentleman of the sport. Somebody who's always made time for supporters and promoters and different riders. And it's a tragic loss. But I'm not on my own in feeling that.
No, like you said, we've looked on Twitter, all the various social medias, there is a real sort of outpouring there for Lee because, it hits home hard. And what many of us supporters don't always understand is the fact that you guys race abroad with each other, you travel on planes together. So, there's a lot of camaraderie between riders.
It is. It's a close-knit community, but not only that. I mean, when I've it's nowhere near on the same scale, but when I've been injured or hurt or something, the Speedway community is so tight, and the well wishes and stuff that you receive from all around the world is phenomenal, and I think it's such a blessing that we're involved in such a special sport. And like you said, the social media sites and what have you have been pouring with tributes for Lee, and I think that just goes to show how well respected he was, not just in the Speedway world, but people in motorsport and all around have taken time to pay their respects to Lee.
That's it. And obviously yourself, you had to ride last night. Many of your fellow riders did as well, and I know that some of you didn't want to last night. It must have been very tough to ride last night you were at Wolves, weren't you?
Yeah, I do. I found it very difficult. Especially the first race or so. I didn't feel like I could. I don't know. Just my mind was obviously elsewhere, as a lot of the guys were. I felt that that we should have at least been given 24 hours to grieve. He's a friend as well as a fellow colleague. He's a friend to many of us. And I just thought it was probably a little bit too soon. If you look at when things of such tragedy have happened in other motorsports, MotoGP with Simoncelli, for example, they took time out and got a chance to regroup as much as possible. They wasn't thrown straight back into the ring. And I felt that 24 hours was at least we at least deserved that. But in saying that, I think we all had to put a brave face on. We know the Sky deal is obviously a big necessity for Speedway and its growth. And really, the show had to go on, and we just had to regroup and put a brave face on and do the best that we could in such extreme circumstances. Yeah,
that's it. And I think it was one of the riders on interview said that maybe it would have been what Lee would have wanted, that everyone rode on, because he was so passionate about the sport in every way. Maybe that was the case.
Well, exactly. We could have looked at it that way as well. Personally, I just felt I just needed a little bit of time to regroup. But different people will deal with it in different ways, as is
in any walk of life to how people manage things. But the show did go on, and I think there was a fantastic tribute on Sky last night, which was a real honour for Lee, and showed really everything we love about him. And Wolverhampton was difficult, and no doubt Friday at Lakeside will be even more so. But we'll be there, and we'll stay strong for him, and hopefully we make Friday a fitting tribute for him.
That's it, and I think as well as obviously the riders find it really tough yesterday, a lot of the fans were saying, that they needed a bit of time. Maybe yesterday was too soon for them to watch Speedway. What was the atmosphere like yesterday at Wolves?
Many people said that to me, actually. I had a lot of supporters contact me via, Twitter and Facebook and what have you, and I think that was the general consensus between riders and fans. But like I said, it is a close-knit community. As riders, we are very accessible to supporters and the paying public, and I think they do get a special bond towards riders, which makes it even more difficult when we have such tragedies. The atmosphere at Wolves was, especially in the pits, it was very solemn. But I think we all respected why we were there, and I think we all had kind of a, almost a gentleman's agreement that we would go out and try and make the meeting as good as could possibly it could be. And the fans at Wolverhampton were absolutely fantastic as well. We applauded every single rider and every single race, and like I said before, that really is why Speedway is so special, because they do appreciate what we do and what risk we take for them.
And I think that's why, like you said, the fans have really felt this as well, because, like I said, Speedway riders are so accessible. It's so easy for the fans to come and speak to you guys and get to know you all. And I think that's why it's such a great sport. That's why it's such a big family as well. And I think that's why this is hurting so many people, from all around the world, really.
Yeah, you've got it, mate. It is very difficult. We're friends to a lot of supporters. We are accessible, and I think Lee, in particular, is really one of those guys who people always find easy to talk to, easy to ask for an autograph, easy to, his public relations was one of the best. He was a fantastic talker. He was accessible to anybody, and he was always got a word for anybody, and that he was so well respected in the sport. And like you said, I think that's why we are all suffering.
So, well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I know it's been very difficult for everyone that's come on this evening. Would you like to say anything before you sign off?
Not really. I'll just put one of my memories out there was when I got called into the World Cup squad when I was on holiday in Tenerife and got drafted into Swindon for the qualifying round for the World Cup, and it was a tough leg. I think we had Denmark, Sweden, and I don't know, Czech Republic or something, but it was a difficult round. I got drafted in late notice. I think Lee was feeling a bit under the weather and put in the most phenomenal performance in an England race jacket as we're ever likely to see. I think he went and went through the card that night, and it was awesome for me personally to be involved with him. That was just one time, but he was a true professional, true gentleman, and he'll be sorely missed, not just by me, but by everybody that he's ever met.
Super. Thank you again, Simon, for coming on the show, and we wish you the best of luck this season.
Thanks very much.
fantastic to hear from all the different riders and the guests, and we have Martin Dugard on a bit later as well, so it'd be great to hear from Martin, who's known Lee from a very early age and a big fan to the Richardson family. So we will be back shortly after.
First started going to Speedway as a young girl, I was so scared to approach riders, but after approaching Lee and receiving his warmth and help, I've never been afraid since. I've been in love with the sport since that first meeting, partly due to loving how the riders acted, that mainly being Lee. He was always so lovely and caring, and a brilliant rider, and be sorely missed. My heart goes out to his family. Rest in peace. Next one from John Barry, just a quick message to say that everything said about Lee is true. Total nice bloke, a true gent, who I was lucky enough to know personally. My heartfelt condolences go out to Rico. Next one, Terry Vidler. Still in shock, can't believe this is true. Lee was one of the nicest people you could have ever come across. The tears just won't stop. Rest in peace, Lee, you will never be forgotten. The next one I think we've got, it's coming from, and this takes some pronouncing for me, Trofimov Rovno Speedway Club in the Ukraine. On behalf of the Speedway Club, Trofimov Rovno Ukraine, and my own, I wish to convey the words of deepest sympathy to Lee Richardson's family, friends, fans and relatives. We join you in mourning and pain. An excellent Speedway rider, liked by thousands worldwide, including here in the Ukraine, has left us forever. He will stay in our memory as a great man who loved to live, relished every moment, and infected all people around him with his energy and love. He shared this love, but also experienced from it his environment. Last Sunday, the Lord chose to select him to his heavenly Speedway team. We'll cherish the memory of Lee deep in our hearts forever. And that's from Vladimir Trofimov and the Speedway Club in the Rivne in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like you said, there's been messages from all over the world. I've got one here from the fans of Orzel Lodz, and it says, as fans of Speedway, we're greatly saddened by the death of Rico. He died doing what he loved, sacrificing himself for his club and fans. We give our most sincere condolences to the family and friends of Lee Richardson. Rest in peace, fans of Orzel Lodz. So, it's affected everyone all over the world, and, we've had so many messages in. It's really difficult for us to read them all out, but they will all be on our blog, which is speedway.bikerfm.co.uk.
Yeah, we're going to try and get everything onto there for you. So all the messages that we've received will go onto the blog, so you'll be able to check those out. And it will also, as we mentioned earlier on, there's going to be a podcast of tonight's show, Paul, isn't there?
There is going to be a podcast. It's well, as Suggsy knows, this show has been massive. We've had so many listeners that we understand that it's actually crashed the server. So those of you lucky to listen at the moment, stay listening, because other people can't. But we will make it a podcast, and we will make it available for everyone to listen to.
Okay, so our next guest that we've got coming up in a few moments' time is Martin Dugard. We're expecting Martin on at about 9:30, so we've got about 7 minutes just to go through some more of your dedications for you. The next one that's coming in is from Paul Ackroyd, who's obviously heavily involved in the Riders Ben Fund. Myself and everyone connected with the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund are deeply shocked and sad following the news of Lee's death. Lee supported the Ben Fund by riding in the Bonanza meeting earlier this year and also in the 2011 meeting. Through his participation in these events, he demonstrated his commitment to support his fellow competitors should they become injured. Throughout my many years as a referee, I always found Lee to be a likeable young man and very easy to get on with. He'll be sadly missed throughout the Speedway fraternity, and best wishes from Paul Ackroyd.
Superb, and we've got a few more coming through on the shout box as well. They've just come in, Chris. If it can, so yeah, lots of messages coming in. It's been fantastic to see them coming in. So we've got a message from Joanne, and she says, it was a massive shock to hear the news about Lee. He will be missed loads, and our thoughts go to his wife Emma and 3 sons.
Okay, some more coming through. Neil Watson, in common with the whole of Speedway, I find this tragic news hard to comprehend. 2004 was my first year with a deep involvement at Peterborough, and I remember the thrill of Mick Horton telling me that we'd signed Lee as our number 1 for 2004. He's an absolute joy to deal with, friendly and approachable. It's always been a pleasure to meet him whenever our paths have crossed since. I was looking forward to seeing him again this evening. My last memory now will be of a warm greeting that he gave me at the Brandonopoulos in March. It's a cruel sport sometimes, and any fatality is to be mourned. Somehow Lee's passing seems closer to home. That's from Neil Watson, who was the promoter at Peterborough Speedway for 2005 and 2006.
That's good. I've got one here from Ricky Wells, and Ricky says, the Speedway world has lost a great, respectful man. Thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. A dark cloud is over the world of motorsports, from Ricky Wells.
Yeah, it certainly is. The next one I've got is from Barry Bishop, a friend of the show from My First Skid, and it took him about 2 hours, it says, to decide to write something about Lee, because Lee and himself had only recently started to talk about doing stuff with the school. At first because he wanted to test at one of our events, but when I explained what we wanted to achieve, he was very much behind us. He used to look at what we posted on the internet and drop me a text about the day, and he cared. Our sport is great, but boy, it hurts sometimes too. But we'll push on, we'll develop champions, and we'll always have a place for Lee in our hearts. Godspeed.
So, and I think everyone has their different memories of Lee, and I always remember watching Lee at Poole when he must have been 16 or 17, and it was when the Premier League was one league, so it was the Elite League and the Premier League together, and he found it really, really tough to score any points whatsoever, and many people, wrote Lee off. But after every meeting, he was there with his mentor, John Davis, and they were trying bikes. He had his bikes lined up, and he would do starts and first bends, and he would do that until they turned the lights out, and that was every week. He was so dedicated to the sport and getting it right. And obviously it worked because, he grew to be a tremendous rider and a tremendous asset to the sport. Have you got any specific memories, Chris?
I can remember, obviously, the period that he raced for 3 or 4 years for Coventry, and how the Coventry fans took him to their hearts and stuff. And from my dealings in sort of interviewing riders at the tracks and stuff since, he's just the ultimate professional, and his equipment was turned out so smartly. He was very much how you sort of associate kind of the Americans and stuff, and how sort of charismatic they are with the press and that type of things. Lee had certainly got it off to a T.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He was so professional, wasn't he? His kit was always immaculate, and I think, sort of people like Lewis Bridger look up to him for that reason. He was just immaculately set up. He was great at speaking to the media. Whenever I got him to do or spoke to him about doing some PR for Swindon Speedway, nothing was a problem for him. And all of our conversations, to be honest, ended up being about 10-15 minutes, when all I really needed him to do was sort of be in a different position. But he was so passionate about Speedway. We just used to have a good yap about, where the sport needs to be, what it could be doing, how we could promote Swindon Speedway better. And I think that's another aspect of Lee, is he was very professional and very business minded, and a great asset to the sport in other angles, as well as obviously being a great racer.
Definitely, yeah. Well, we'll try and get through just a few more of these dedications, because we've got a couple of minutes before we speak to Martin Dugard. Next one's from Blaine Scroggins. Still feeling a state of shock at the sad loss of Lee Richardson. I'm not sure it's sunk in yet. I had the great pleasure of working with Lee in my time with Peterborough in 2004. Lee was so much fun, always had a smile on his face, up for some banter. The team struggled that year, but Lee stood out and was a true shining star, a true number one. Lee's going to be sorely missed, and my thoughts are with Lee's family at this tragic time. And that's from Blaine Scroggins, who's the joint team manager at Coventry Bees. We also had a message come in from Tricia Bridger, who is Lewis's aunt. Said that I only knew Lee personally for the last 6 months when I asked him to support my forthcoming children's Speedway book. I'm honoured to say that he didn't hesitate to be involved, and I'm extremely proud that he thought it was a great idea to bring Speedway to the younger generation. He loved my story and was very proud to be illustrated in it. His positive response was a true testament to him as the most genuine and kind person that he was. I'm deeply saddened by his tragic passing, and my heart goes out to all of his family and friends. His dad has said that Lee would be honoured to continue to be in my book, and I hope I will do him proud. Of course, now I'm dedicating my book to his memory, and it's a tribute to him and one of the best British talents. His memory will live on with all future generations through literature. My Speedway book will be raising money for book sales for the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund and Diabetes UK, both charities close to my heart. It's planned that my book will be launched in time for the British Grand Prix, and I hope everyone will support it. I'll be doing a Waterstones author book signing event at Cardiff on the British Grand Prix day. My thoughts and prayers are with you, Lee. I hope I do you proud. Rest in peace, Tricia Bridger, author of Lewis Bridger's Aunt and Lewis Bridger's Aunt.
Super, and it'd be fantastic to have Tricia on the show at a later date as well. It's the fact that he's going to be memorised in this book is going to be amazing. It's really good, and there's so many different things that Lee's memory is going to last on in. So that's just another great one.
Definitely. Well, we got another piece of music to play for you now, and there has been obviously other people who've died in the sport before, and not so long ago as well. But when it's somebody who's such as high profile as Lee, it certainly makes people notice.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing about it. Obviously, to everybody, if their son dies doing any sport, it sort of brings it home. But Lee was renowned throughout the whole of Speedway, throughout the whole world of Speedway, from every level. And all the young kids looked up to him. He progressed. People said that he would never make it. And unfortunately, he proved them completely wrong, that he was as good as he was. And he was just the perfect ambassador. And it's when you step back and realise that he did a lot more for Speedway than most people ever do in their careers.
And some people have mentioned, who've been on the show tonight, the amount of points he scored racing for Team Great Britain, the most that anyone's ever scored.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously, when people sit back, Lee was one of those riders. He never really took any big chances, but he was always there to score you points, and you could always rely on Lee to score you points. And the same thing with him, he never sort of put himself in any danger. And the last thing you know is that he's paid the full consequences of it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most of the unlikely riders to sort of end his life in these circumstances, because he was a very safe rider.
Very, very safe. He would never put himself in any position where it would affect him or he would get hurt. If he was unfortunate enough to get hurt, he would make sure that he would be 100% fit before he come back and ride again. And you would always sort of put your money on Lee that he would never get hurt. But unfortunately, it's just completely turned the tables around.
Obviously, your background with the Eastbourne Eagles, somewhere that's where the fans really took Lee to heart, and a very popular rider there.
Yeah, well, I when I first started, I used to ride with his dad, and obviously when Colin then moved on and he retired through injury, I sort of moved through my career, and Lee and his brother were both kids at that particular time, very young kids, 2-3 years old, riding on our junior track. So we sort of see Lee grow up, and then obviously he moved away to Reading. But I've known Lee since he was like 2-3 years old, right the way through, and still used to do a little bit of work with him and help him. But he was very good to my family. He was very good to the kids, and he was the sort of person you could approach and ask a question to, and he always had time for anyone in the sport.
Memories that come to mind of the times that you spent with Lee yourself personally?
He was very quiet, very down to earth. You could just sort of go into, say, a very, very busy sort of shopping centre or anything like that, and he wouldn't feel as if he was the big superstar he was. He was very, very down to earth, and he just took it completely normal, as if anybody else would. And he loved his sport, but he was just one of them sort of guys that was so down to earth you wouldn't believe that he was one of these motorcyclists that rode all around the world.
Yeah, and when we had Lewis on, he was sort of saying the times that he'd spent with Lee and Nicky Pedersen and stuff like that. So he had friends across all nationalities and stuff, didn't he?
Oh yeah, everybody he had respect. He had respect for everybody, and they had respect for Lee. There was no question about that. And I think it's one of those things with Lee was that he always gave you that little respect, knowing that if he was in any situation that he could always ask for that favour or a little bit of respect back. And I think it's the way he's crashed and the way he's died, he didn't really deserve any of that. And through all the years he's ridden, I don't think I've really seen him be injured.
No, it's not. He's not the kind of rider. I know when he used to suffer with like sickness buds and stuff quite a lot when he was racing for Coventry, which affected him, and I know he had lots of tests and stuff and things like that. But actually, on track injuries, he, as you say, he was a very safe rider, wasn't he?
He was, and I think going back to him being ill and that was probably just purely run down from doing so many meetings, because he obviously agreed that he was going to ride for all these tracks and clubs and that, and he would never let anybody down. And he was as good as his word, and unfortunately he paid most of the problems with his health during the course of the season, where he was physically run down. But as a professional speedway rider, you do tend to get up in the morning very early. You're on an aeroplane, you're getting from one airport to another, you're riding. I don't think people realise now how many miles the speedway boys do. And obviously, one minute you could be racing against one of your best mates, the next minute he could be your worst enemy. But when you're thrown on the aeroplane, you're all best of friends.
That's it, and obviously people as well, it's hard to realise how good Lee was abroad as well, wasn't it? Because he was the top Brit abroad for a number of years, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was very underrated. He always seemed to just miss out on a little bit. He was obviously in the Grand Prix and he was, you never knew with Lee, because he had such a great starting ability that he could just pop out at the start. And when he was in front and with fresh air, he was the best in the world. But you just didn't know when he might miss one of them starts. But that's what he was all about. He trained for that for years, and he would always go and practice. And I know for a fact during the course of the winter, while everybody was sitting there moaning that they wasn't getting any track time, Lee was out. He was Scunthorpe, Kings Lynn, and he was out and about getting stuff ready for Poland. So I know that he had a lot of ambitions and he wanted to carry on and ride, but unfortunately it's just been cut short for him.
So, and I was saying to Chris just a second ago that I remember him from Poole when like you said, people wrote him off, but he was so determined. I don't think there's ever been a speedway rider that, from what I've seen, that's been so determined to make it. He was out on the track with John Davis until the lights come down. It's that determination is pretty inspirational to many young riders, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem was with Colin, his father, who went and rode. He was very sort of aggressive rider, and when Lee came along, he didn't really have that aggression in him. But the way he rode, and he started off such a high sort of ladder to climb to be where his father was. People wrote him off before he could even go and score some points, and you've got to take your hat off to him. John Davis has stuck by him right from the beginning of his career, and really he groomed him to be a professional ambassador for the sport, and that's why John was one of the top riders for England, and he brought Lee along as well. So I've got to say that really John Davis, Lee was his protege, and John made a fantastic job of him, and that's why Lee was the best Englishman around, and still is, and his record will be there to stand for a long time.
And I know that Paul Burbage of the Speedway Star's got a tremendous interview with John Davis that's in the Speedway Star on Thursday, so that's going to be a great read. So, how much of an effect did John Davis have on Lee's career? Was he that pivotal to it?
I think really when John was coming towards the end of his career, he realised he had a lot more to give to the sport, and the only way he could actually give it to the sport is by channeling his devotion to it through someone. He picked Lee up and he put everything he had, which maybe he couldn't have achieved, through Lee, and Lee just picked it up with both hands, carried it, and you could see that with John's professional background and his help and what he had gained through those years of experience, he passed on to Lee, and Lee was able to give everybody the goods. And you've got to say that's mainly down to Lee wanting it, and John Davis has been able to give it to him.
That's it, and it's, a tribute, like you said, that they both, between them achieved so much in the Speedway career. Obviously, last night we watched on Sky the tremendous sort of results that Lee's had, the tremendous races and how quick he was, how stylish he was. And obviously that style, it didn't just happen overnight. There was a lot of hard work that went into that, wasn't there?
There was. It's like everything. You only get into Speedway what you put into it. You only get that back out. And Lee spent hours and hours and hours practicing. He was never frightened to sort of go away abroad and go and ride on the big continental tracks. He sort of took that as another step that he was going to do that. And I think people don't really respect him for the amount of effort that he put in. And I think it's only now that he's no longer with us that we're now sort of sitting back and thinking, yeah, actually, he was pretty good. And that was the thing that sort of brought it all to a head now, that he was a professional throughout the whole of his career, even from a youngster right the way through until last weekend.
But it's been brilliant to have you on the show, Martin. Like you said, it's been great to have you on the show under happier circumstances. We would like to welcome you back later on in the future. Any last words before we leave you?
Yeah, well, I know that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, trying to get everything ready for Lee and his family. But I've just got to say it's a very sad day for British Speedway, very sad day for the whole of Speedway. And just wish Lee and all the family that he's left behind, if there's anything we can help him with, just let us know, and Eastbourne Speedway will help him.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you once again, Martin, for coming on the show and at a tough time, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the near future.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Well, Paul, we're down to the last 50 minutes of the show, and this is probably the most important part of the show for a lot of people. We did mention via Twitter and via the website and via Facebook, stuff like that we would be playing an interview that we managed to catch with Lee at the start of the season this year. So we'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who's plucked up the courage, really, to come on the show tonight. It's a very, very hard time, both for myself and Paul as well. It's been difficult to talk about this tonight, Paul, hasn't it?
It has. It's been really tough, and I'd just like to say that everyone has been a credit to Speedway to come on and talk about this and talk about Lee. He's meant a lot to a lot of people, a lot to the sport, and it's been a credit to him, the amount of people that have been saddened by his loss, and obviously condolences to all of Lee's family. And it's a sad loss, but he's been a tremendous asset to the sport and a tremendous rider. But I'd just say that Suggsy, the interview that's coming up was right back in the days in the show when Suggsy was presenting it on our behalf, and he didn't know a lot about Speedway. Lee was an absolute great sport. And really had a good laugh with Suggsy and got into the spirit of the show. I spoke to Martin Hagan, Lee's long-term sponsor, about this interview, and he checked with the family. They're happy for us to air this, and Martin himself was happy and wanted us to play it. So thank you very much for that, and we hope you enjoy hearing Lee.
Definitely, it's great to have the opportunity to play this again with the support of Lee's family. From a personal note, from myself and from Paul and from Suggsy and everybody here at Biker FM, our sincere condolences going out to the family and friends of Lee Richardson, and please enjoy this interview with Lee from earlier on in the year.
Here we have Lee Richardson. Lee, thanks for joining us on Biker FM, mate.
No problem at all.
I'm going to just jump straight into the questions because I've got loads of them, and I know from speaking to you earlier, we're going to have a bit of a laugh with some of these questions.
Right, okay.
What's your favourite fruit?
Fruit? That's a new one. Probably bananas.
Oh dear. Most women say bananas. I don't know what that's all about.
Women?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
What have your preparations been for this coming season?
Yeah, I think they've been pretty good, to be honest. There's a few things I need to change from last season, which I've done. I've changed a few members in my team, and I've taken on a personal trainer and a new manager. So it's, I feel like preparations have gone pretty well. We're pretty much on course for everything, and hopefully I'll be up and testing sort of the end of next week or the beginning of the week after.
Now, a little birdie tells me that you've been doing some motocross. Is that right?
A little bit, trying.
How does that improve your speedway?
The main thing is you're just staying on a bike. Obviously, we have that break off from the end of October. It's a long time again to start when you start testing sort of any time now. So I just like to stay on a bike, and it's good. As much training as I do with my personal trainer and training 6 days a week, there's nothing like riding a bike. So I try and get out as much as I can, and two of my sons ride as well, so I take them with me.
Oh, what bike are you riding?
I've got a CRF 250 Honda.
Oh, so quite a biter then.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's a bit of fun. It's good when you go to motocross when you're on the practice tracks, because no one knows who you are. Well, I think they don't anyway. I hope not, how bad I am at it. But, you can go out there and have fun and no one's judging you. And it's just a great day out. I go with my mates as well, so I really enjoy it.
And is there a particular practice track you go to?
The main one I go to is Essex MX, which is just not far from Stansted, actually. It's the next junction down, so it's only sort of an hour and 15 minutes from my house. So that's the main one we go to, really. But I try and get out to a few more if I can as well.
So if there's any MX racers out there listening, which I know there's a few, if you could go to that practice track and report back on how good Lee is actually on a motocross bike, that would be really interesting for a future show.
I ain't going there again next week.
Yeah, you thought you wouldn't recognise. You watch, next time you're there, somebody will come up to you and say, "Oh, I heard you on Biker FM."
I hope not now.
No, actually, one of the motocrossers has just emailed in and wants to know, rip-offs or roll-offs?
Rip-offs. Can't keep roll-off. I've tried for years, but no, rip-offs for me.
Oh, I like the roll-off, to see. That's the interesting thing. Now, you signed for Lakeside again, and you seem to be settled at the club, is that right?
Yeah, it's been good to me since I've been to had a few clubs in my career. With the way the rules change every year, it's difficult to stay at one club these days. But it's been a good move. It's not far from my house, and they're good people that are running the club. They've got they're a very ambitious club, and it's been going forward the last 5 years. So yeah, I'm really settled there now. It's really good.
Many people are tipping Lakeside for a good season. Tell us about your team and the new teammates.
Yeah, it was a total revamp from 2011. The team we had in 2011 was good, but we just didn't quite have enough firepower come towards the end of the season in the all-important playoffs. So this year, John Cook and Stuart Douglas and myself with a bit of input as well have revamped it. The heats we were struggling in, we've now got some real top-heavy firepower in those races. So the inclusion of Davey Watt and Peter Coulson, I think now we're probably looking as one of the top teams in the league to challenge for honours, I would have thought.
Are there any other teams in the league that you're thinking we got to up our game for?
Yeah, I think when you look at Coventry, they've also done the same. They've got 3 very top heavy riders, and they've got a good team as well. It's even further down the order, it's riders that can improve. So it's going to be that's going to be a tough one. And Paul's always there. They've always put together a fantastic team. So I think they're going to be our main challenges for the season.
Now, the club seems to be going from strength to strength, on and off the track. What do you think the reason is?
I think there's a few reasons. I think the backing, like I said, from Stuart Douglas has made a huge difference. John Cook is probably the best promoter we've ever ridden for, and Lakeside is run as a business. It's run to try and make money. It's not just a hobby. It's not for fun. And the way they advertise it and what they try and do to get people in, keep them entertained, I think is good. When I've seen what other clubs are doing and I see what Lakeside have done, I think it's fantastic what they've done there. So, yeah, like I said, it's theirs as a business. It's not just there to run for fun, so it makes a big difference.
Now, even though you're the most successful rider in World Speedway, it seems the British title has eluded you. Why is this, and is the title on your priority list in 2012?
Yeah, it's a strange one. With all the things I've won in my career, it's one thing it has eluded me, and there's been one reason or another I did lose interest in it for a few years, for one reason or another. I have tried the last couple of years, but to no avail. But it is something that I want to win, especially before I retire. So it's something that's very important to me, especially with having no Grand Prix racing the last couple of years. The British Championship is something I have to aim for, and because you win, it doesn't mean you are necessarily Britain's #1 rider, but it obviously, does mean you are British champion. So I've been the British rider for the last, over a period of time in all the leagues domestically, but I've never won it. So it's definitely something I'd like to win.
Now, a lot of the Speedway media have been throwing their toys out of the pram about your decision not to ride for Team Great Britain. Even though you would be an automatic choice for the squad, can you tell us why you made that decision?
Yeah, there was I mean, without getting too political, there's a lot of reasons over the years why that happened, of why I decided to step down. And the final straw, we had problems, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, with the race suits. And it wasn't right up until literally the last few hours, that we actually submitted our request to enter the World Cup, because we had problems with the race suits with the governing body. Then we had some other problems with the race suits the following year, and my sponsorship with my main sponsor, Hagen Shocks, I've been with for 12 years now. I couldn't put that sponsorship in jeopardy, so that was one of the main reasons I stopped. Another reason as well, it's been tough. You know, I think I've only won 2 medals in my whole time that I've ridden for Great Britain, and I can't see at the moment us winning any more medals. So, you know, I want to be in there to at least be challenging for a medal, or obviously trying to win, and that was another reason that I decided to step down. And I don't want to go too much into the politics, but there's some other reasons, and, you know, at the end of the day, I've got to do what's right for me and what I believe in, and if I ride for Great, it's because I want to do it for myself and no one else, and I need to give 110%, and if I can't give that, then there's no point doing it.
Now, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm actually going to have a go at Speedway myself with myfirstskid.com. How long do you think it would take me to be a contender for the Team Great Britain?
Not long on our current levels, I wouldn't have thought. Probably a couple of goes. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, maybe could take as long as basically as long as you want. It's when you start learning Speedway, it's pretty interesting going flat out with no brakes. So depends how quick you pick it up.
Yeah, well, I've had a message in from Brian who reckons that I am a future Speedway star, and the only advice he's given me is to be brave.
That's pretty good advice, I'd say.
Yeah, so that's what I intend to do, is be brave. Jay says, Lee, do you miss riding at Reading?
Blimey, that was a few years ago. Yeah, I loved Reading. At that time, I only lived in Bracknell, which is only 10 minutes down the road, and there were some great times in my career, and it's a real shame that stadium's gone. Just hopefully one day it will come back. But yeah, I do miss Reading. There's a great track with great people.
And it says, what do you do to train your reaction time?
Nothing.
Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing whatsoever. I think you've either got quick reactions or you're not. I don't think there's anything you can do to make them any quicker. The only thing I do is make sure I'm extremely fit, which I am this year. I train 6 days a week. I have a personal trainer training me as well. So that's the only way I keep as sharp as I can.
Now, a lot of the motocrossers have turned to boxing. Is that something you've ever thought about having a go at?
Yeah, well, my uncle's actually an ex-professional boxer, so I've done some training with him over the years, and I do a bit of boxing training myself with the circuit trains as well. So yeah, I vary my training. And the boxing training, probably more so for the motocross riders, is a benefit, because obviously they're looking for more endurance, where obviously with Speedway short bursts of what we do is only over a minute. So our training is slightly different, but I have done boxing training, and it is a fantastic training to do, that's for sure.
Is there anything other than bananas that's in your diet?
Not a lot at the moment. I'm not obviously since after Christmas, the New Year. I've been on a diet, so yeah, I sort of vary my food, but all alcohol and all fatty food off the menu. So it's pretty boring food at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely excellent. Right, well, mate, I know you're itching to get out that door to woo your good lady. Have you done anything special on Valentine's Day?
Not really, no. To be honest, that's why I've got to take her out tonight.
Well, do you know, believe it or not, I had one of our listeners actually arrange to cook a Valentine lunchtime dinner just so that they could tune into the show.
Well, that's something else, isn't it? Fair play, that is, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's total dedication. We've got a message from Twitter. Thriller Mike has asked on Twitter how important he feels the Anglian Junior League will be, and will he be around to help the riders?
Yeah, I think it's vital importance. Any youth development involved with Speedway is what Speedway needs, and obviously my involvement with Lakeside and my sponsor Hagen Shock that also is getting involved to some degree. If I'm around and my schedule allows it, and I'd quite happy help some of the guys out.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for your support with the Speedway Show on Biker FM, mate. What are you wearing tonight? Something nice, I hope.
I don't know. I think my wife's got to pick it. So she put it on the bed, and I just wear whatever's on there.
That's what I actually do when I go out, because you can guarantee, no matter what you actually put on, they're going to turn around when you come downstairs and go, "You're not wearing that."
Yeah, that's years of experience, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. Lee, thanks for your time, mate, and hopefully, if you get any interesting news, think of Biker FM, and we'll get you on again.
I will do. Thanks very much for the interview.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Goodbye.